This episode of Destructoid is brought to you by Gamefly. Coming up on Destructoid, we've got tons of Black Ops 2 news straight from Gamescom. Capcom unveils Remember Me, and PS Vita owners in need of new games, your prayers have been answered. All that and more right now on Destructoid.
Welcome to Destructoid. I'm Tara Long.
And I'm Max Scoville. There's nothing in this mug.
No, there isn't. I wondered why you put that up here, just to upstage me.
It was over here and it was sticking into the frame, so
jerk.
I just grabbed it in the last minute in just a sheer panic. Now, we got some news today because Gamescom is happening. It's exciting. There's lots of stuff to talk about. There was a brief scare this morning that people thought the PSN got hacked, but apparently it didn't, so who knows. But change your passwords anyway, hide your wife, hide your kids, you know the drill. Before we get into the flood of news straight out of Gamescom, we just uploaded a new Assassin's Creed 3 interview that I did, going into detail on the naval combat and showing off some very sexy new gameplay.
Oh my god, your hair was so much longer then.
You get a thing for boats. Yeah, that was before the haircut that I got, but the boats, look at the boats, that's more exciting. So you should go watch that later because it's interesting. The boats are exciting.
Also
they're a cool
hair.
thing. Now, as you guys might know, I'm one of the many PlayStation Vita owners. I don't know about many, but I'm one of the PlayStation Vita owners sitting around waiting for more badass games to be released. They don't have any good games, and it's dumb because I want more games to play. At Sony's Gamescom press event yesterday, we all got some really wonderful news. For starters, we got our first look at Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's Call of Duty, except it's on the Vita. It's being developed by Nihilistic Software, who are the guys behind the very poorly received Resistance Burning Skies. And people are saying this one looks sort of lackluster, but we kind of got to wait and see. It promises to have 4 versus 4 multiplayer over Wi-Fi, though in terms of an interface, it seems like it's sticking closer to the older Call of Duty games than it is drawing from like the new, Black Ops 2. In terms of where this takes place in the story, it takes place between Black Ops 1 and 2, so that could be like anywhere between, the Cold War and the year 2025, so that's...
could be like today, for all we know.
That could take place this week, who knows? Anyway, Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified is set for a November release, so, get excited about that, I guess. If you prefer more fictionalized shooting on your Vita, there's also a Killzone title on the way, titled Killzone Mercenaries, in which you presumably play as soldiers for hire in the Killzone universe. It is actually being developed by Guerrilla Games, the guys who make Killzone, and it's using the Killzone 3 engine. So that all sounds good, that sounds exciting. Unfortunately, all the gameplay that got shown off was just like full of swiping. Lots of swiping. Who likes swiping? Do you like swiping? Swipe the screen to swipe the screen more. So that's cool, I guess. That's slated for a release sometime next year, so that could be any time in 2013. Or not, who knows. Now, guns and shit are cool, but the big buzz about the Vita games that got shown off was Tearaway, which is a brand new game from Media Molecule, who are the guys who did Little Big Planet. And instead of yarn and burlap sacks and stuff like that, they now have a world of paper. It's just adorable magic paper. You control a little guy named Iota, who is in charge of delivering a letter or something, and you've got to help him by poking the screen and like blowing on the mic. Whoa, yeah. And doing stuff like that, and there's a lot of accelerometer and rear touchscreen, and also announced was some cross-controller DLC for Little Big Planet 2 that's supposedly coming soon. And as far as it being super exciting, it's really pretty much just Sony going, yeah, we could be the Wii U if we wanted to, or whatever, no big deal, whatever, Nintendo. Also, PlayStation Classics, PS1 Classics are finally coming to the Vita in like 2 weeks, so I'm excited about that.
That's been a long time
a lot
coming.
of news about the Vita, about goddamn time. Thank you, Sony, for getting your shit together.
Gamescom usually isn't groundbreaking in terms of news, but this year it's been all right. There was one trailer that caught the attention of a lot of people, myself included, and that was for a new IP from Capcom called Remember Me. This was actually announced at last year's Gamescom under the name Adrift, and back then all they had to show was a teaser trailer of concept footage, but now we've got a whole 7 minutes of gameplay footage, and guys, you might want to pay attention to this one. It looks pretty good. Remember Me is a third-person action-adventure game that's set in Neo-Paris in the year 2084, and it depicts a future where human memories can not only be stored, but bought, stolen, and remixed or altered by the right people. So one of those people happens to be the protagonist, Nealon, a member of the anti-corporate revolutionary group, the Errorists. Sounds like something you would have come up with, Max. And she's on a quest to rediscover her identity after being arrested and having her memory wiped clean. So she doesn't know what happened. She's trying to find that out. The demo shows an example mission where she's tasked with killing Frank Forlan, who is a new commander of the evil Saber Force unit. But in order to avoid suspicion, she can't actually directly kill him. So instead, she tracks down someone who knows him, then steals one of his memories to find Forlan's location, and then heads across town, being careful to avoid all the city's patrol bots. After climbing a couple buildings, she finds him alone in his office and then initiates her memory remixing sequence, where she travels inside his brain, not literally, but figuratively, to find a memory of his from 4 days prior where his girlfriend leaves him finally. So when she goes into his memory, they play the real sequence of events that actually happened, and then she's got the power to rewind the memory and change certain aspects of it. Kind of like Charles Manson style. So you'll see that the game gives her a few options when she rewinds. She now has the option to knock over a bottle, or remove the gun safety, or she can open a suitcase here, turn off a light, shut down a mirror, whatever that means. Maybe they're powered mirrors in the future. So she tries the knock over a bottle option first, which leads to a little cutscene that has a slightly different outcome, but still not the intended one. So then she rewinds again and chooses knock over a bottle and the remove gun safety option. Then another cutscene ensues. This time, Forlan accidentally kills his girlfriend, not realizing that the gun safety was off. So of course this is still a memory, so he never actually killed his girlfriend in real life, but he thinks he did now when he snaps back into reality. And when that happens, he becomes convinced that he killed her and that the police are coming to get him, so he ends up killing himself right there in his office immediately before his still alive ex-girlfriend comes walking through the door. It's kind of a crazy scene, and memory remixing is like a core mechanic of the game. According to the developers, there's going to be tons of room for exploration within each memory, but there's only going to be one correct answer. And also, memory remixing is not the only mechanic of the game. The trailer also shows glimpses of hand-to-hand combat. There's some quick-time events in there, and it seems like there's a decent emphasis on stealth in the game. So Remember Me is currently set for a May 2013 release on Xbox 360, PS3, and PC. No word about a Wii U version yet, but darn it if I'm not excited to see more of this game.
You know what people are going to compare that to?
Watch Dogs and Deus Ex.
And I think just Watch Dogs. If they compare it to Deus Ex, they're just lazy and they should read more Cyberpunk. Speaking of Cyberpunk, Metal Gear Rising Revengeance got a new trailer in honor of Gamescom, and considering that it's like a whopping 4 minutes and 8 seconds of stuff that looks really similar to what we saw in the E3 trailer, I can understand if a lot of people just kind of tuned out and didn't watch the whole thing. But if you stay to the very end, you see the best thing ever. There is a robot dog with a chainsaw for a tail, and he can talk, and he's evil.
Wow.
And Raiden's like, "What's your name, Mr. Dog?" And the dog's like, "I am IF prototype LQ841. And then Raiden's like, "That's cool, what are you doing?" And the robot dog's like, "I am going to kill you, bark, 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 bark," and he has a chainsaw for a tail. And then after that, we see a little snippet of gameplay where you're hanging out with the robot dog in a sewer, and someone's like, "Raiden, why are you hanging out with the evil robot dog?" And Raiden's like, "Oh, I had Dr. Scientist fixed up Mr. Robot Dog, so let's throw him a bone because he's a dog."
They made a pun.
Yeah, so seriously, I know this game is going to be stupid and ridiculous, but giving Raiden the robot ninja a talking robot chainsaw dog has gotten me just stupid kinds of excited all over again. Also, on a serious journalism note, Konami has nailed down a release date for this mother bastard, and it's February 19th. So, 360 PS3. That's a thing. Get your chainsaw robot dogs out.
Oh, that's exciting. Moving along, I reviewed Darksiders II this week. I don't know if you guys know, that was a thing that happened. You can go watch my review over on our Rev3 Games channel, but in the meantime, I just wanted to quickly summarize it for you, since I know a lot of you can't be bothered to click on a button unless it's to comment about my breasts. So, I know the art style of the Darksiders franchise turns a lot of people off.
Looks
Even
like my
myself
shirt.
at first. Max has complained about it on numerous occasions, but you should not let that deter you from at least giving it a shot because it's got so many different things going for it. The story is powerful without taking itself too seriously, and the switch over to Death's character as the protagonist this time around provides some variety in terms of both abilities and his character's personality, which is a lot more I want to say, generally skeptical. He's a lot more cynical this time around. And the game is open world, or more so than before, which allows for a lot of exploration of the environments, which are also greatly improved from the first game visually. But the quests are still pretty linear, and they usually feature a combination of puzzles, combat, and boss fights. So the puzzles are akin to ones that you'd see in games like The Legend of Zelda or Portal. There are actually portals in the game, while the combat and the boss fights are surprisingly in-depth and kind of reminiscent of God of War. So if you like any of those games that I just listed, there's probably a good chance you'll like Darksiders 2. I did have a few minor frustrations during my playthrough. I won't delve into all of them right now, but if you're curious, you should go check out my review over on youtube.com/rev3games. It's the one with my face on it that says Darksiders 2 review. That's the one you're going to want to click on. What are you touching your shirt for over here?
I was going to say, if you like my shirt, you might also like Darksiders 2.
Yes, that's true, actually.
It's a vampire bride.
I do love that shirt. So we are going to be back in just a second to talk about CODs and blops, but first, why don't we thank our sponsor?
Sounds good.
Gamefly is the largest online video game rental service, offering you choice from over 8,000 new and classic titles across all consoles and handhelds. With plans starting at $15.95 a month, Gamefly members can rent 1 to 4 games at a time and keep them for as long as they like. There are no late fees, no due dates, and shipping is perpetually free. Doesn't get much better than that. Once you're done playing a game, just send it back and Gamefly will send you the next available game on your list. And if you really, really like the game you're playing and you want to keep it all to yourself, just head over to the Gamefly website and click Keep It, and the game is all yours at a discounted price. Gamefly will even mail you the case and manuals free of charge. Gamefly members can also play hundreds of PC games for free with Gamefly's unlimited PC Play plan. Just head over to gamefly.com/Destructoid to find out more, and when you sign up, you get a 15-day free trial, which equates to free video games.
Do it! It helps support our show, so we can keep talking about them. The video games, I mean. So speaking of the video games, because that's what we do here, we speak about them. Last week we reported on the first Black Ops 2 multiplayer details that we could get from a single trailer that they showed off. But today the floodgates have been blown open and there's just streaming gameplay.
And
literally,
PCs everywhere.
they streamed a bunch of gameplay stuff from Gamescom. And our very own Hamza Aziz is over in Germany, and he got to talk to Treyarch about and see the big changes for himself. As expected, eSports is built into the game. There's eSports mode. No one is actually dressed like a sports athlete, but otherwise it's pretty cool. There's a shoutcasting tool that's available in most games, allowing players to commentate and even actually live stream their matches directly from the game. You don't even need like a capture card or fancy streaming equipment. Hamza got to go hands-on with the mode himself, and it looks pretty cool. You can hot swap between players, see a top-down map, and view live stats. He uploaded a gameplay video to this very channel early this morning, so please go check that out and tell Hamza that he has nice ears because he's really sensitive about his ears.
Really?
It would probably cheer him up. There's also some fundamental changes happening. Most notably, the old create a class system is dead. It has been replaced with what they're calling Pick 10. Which sounds like a lotto thing, but every player gets 10 points, and you can spend them to get any 10 pieces of gear. So for example, you could hop into the game with just a knife and use the rest of the points on perks. It is an interesting idea, though I imagine it is a nightmare to balance. So either way, it is nice to see them shaking things up over at Treyarch.
A lot of shaking up going on.
So much shaking.
They've also rebooted the whole perk system. So they only augment your player's traits now, not weapons. And then weapon modifications are strictly on weapon attachments. So there you go. Finally, the kill streak system has been completely removed and replaced with what they're calling score streaks, where everything you do earns points, and then when your point total reaches a certain threshold, you can use those points to unlock one of 3 score streaks. So there is a ton more details that have not been revealed yet. We just don't have the time to run them all down, unfortunately. Thankfully, Hamza has been not sleeping for like 3 days straight. He put up 2 massive write-ups on Destructoid.com, which you should go read right after this episode. And then after that, you can go watch his interview with the game's designer and his gameplay walkthrough of the shoutcasting mode.
And if you need links to these, they're below in our episode description. So that's always the case with our articles and stuff. So you can find those below. Now, speaking of other things to watch, Tara did the Darksiders 2 thing with it looked like my T-shirt, but that wasn't the only video we put up yesterday. My Sleeping Dogs review went live on this channel, and if you haven't seen it, please go watch that. I love the game. but you don't have to take my word for it. Alistair over at Destructo had actually gave it a 9 out of 10, and he also loved it. And Anthony Carboni on Rev3 Games, our buddy, our pal, he called it one of the best games of the year, which I completely agree with him on so far.
Yeah.
This is probably my favorite game I played this year. I had a blast with it. I still want to play it. If you're debating between the console and PC version, our producer Zach, who has an actual computer, put up a little comparison video on the Rev3 Games channel as well, so you can go check those out. Spoiler alert, it looks way nicer on PC.
Oh wow, that difference is quite enormous actually.
Yeah.
It looks like a completely different engine. Wow, okay.
Chips.
That's exciting. So we're going to be back here on Friday with another live show that's just filled to the brim with shark facts.
Awesome.
All shark facts all the time. That's going to be happening right here on youtube.com/dtoid at 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. Until then, you should go follow us on Twitter. I am Tara Longest. He is Max Scoville. And together we form the Dtoid Show. We'll see you guys back here on Friday, huh?
We love you. Good
night. Go watch our reviews.
Go away. Good night. I love you. Bye.